Yo, good morning, everybody. This is Coach Rance. Yo, this is a response video to a question, a conversation that was being had in my YouTube, in one of my YouTube videos. The YouTube video in question, and I'll link it at the bottom, it was why Christians don't do this. And basically, it was a sarcastic video. It was sarcasm, satire, not sarcasm, satire video about the rapture and why Christians aren't preparing for it. It was a video that had two major intents. One, and let me just give you a little bit of understanding from that video. The first part about it is, the first fact about it is that I talked about, does the rapture happen before the 7 years of tribulation, or does it happen after the 7 years of tribulation? Now, not that I believe in either one of them, because I don't, but based on on the literature, there's a time will come where there's this Antichrist who will take over the world. There'll be 7.5 years of peace, world peace, and then there'll be 7.5 years of hell torment and all that kind of thing. You'll take the mark of the beast in order to buy and sell. Now, there is the debate, even amongst Christian scholars, of does the rapture happen before the Antichrist comes, or does it happen after the Antichrist comes? So that's the debate. So I asked the question, because it's a debate and you don't know, if you're a Christian, should you not be prepared for the worst? Should you not already be doing business in your church, already creating avenues to be able to buy, sell, and trade with one another? So that when you get to that 3.5 years where you have to take this mark of the beast in order to eat, in order to have water, in order to have clothes, should you not be prepared in your inner working so that you can survive? Every time that there has been a major world war or dictatorship, there's always been an underground movement to be able to sustain the people who were being oppressed. You look at the Underground Railroad. You look at things during the Nazi time frame with Anne, I forgot the little girl name, but how people were hiding Jews up in their attics. When you look at all those, right? Anne Frank's, I believe is what it's called, with the story, the main story people know. But when you look at all of those things, you see that people who have been oppressed have always had some kind of underground system to be able to take care of themselves while they go through this storm. So that was the video was about. Now the video was about that as far as Christian, if you believe in that, you should be prepared for it. You don't put your faith just in the fact that that it's going to happen before the rapture will happen before the Antichrist comes, because that movie, the book series Left Behind, got you thinking that it's going to happen before, and got you thinking, oh well, I'm good. But biblical scholars disagree on when it's going to happen. So to me, being a Marine, being who I am, if I was Christian, then I would be preparing for the fact that there may be a time coming soon, right, where there's 3.5 years where you got to be a survivalist, or you're getting your head chopped off. And I know some people say, I'll gladly get my head chopped off for the Lord. Okay, that's you. That's you. I like to see that when they got your child and they getting ready to chop your child's head off. I like to see how stern you are then. But that wasn't the question. So that's the basic part. Now the other aspect of that video was to inspire, hopefully inspire black communities to do better. For the churches to do better in the black community, to be able to uplift the community, teach people actually how to work and how to get jobs and how to build companies and how to trade amongst themselves, and then hire the people from their church and build the businesses from their church. And that way the black community gets stronger. That way people begin to own the home. That way crime rate goes down. That way schools get better. That way every black child now feels more confident about their life, about their aspirations for life. That way, with the more power that neighborhood has, the police will not brutalize them. That way politicians will cease to brutalize them, because now they actually have financial power. That was the true satire of that video that went over some people's head. So this person, they questioned me. They said, well, according to Matthew, I'm not supposed to care about the raiment. I'm not supposed to worry about my food. I'm not supposed to worry about my clothing and that sort of thing, right? And then I just said, you missed the whole point of the video. The video wasn't really about that. That had nothing to do with it, and it's all about Revelations. So that has absolutely nothing to do with it. Talk about me taking stuff out of context. Then they responded to that by saying, well, Luke says that I'm supposed to sell everything, because if you're not willing to sell everything, then you're not a disciple of Jesus Christ. So I asked the question, have you sold everything? Because if you haven't, then you're not a disciple either. And don't come back to me with another scripture that goes against that, because then that would be confusion. And you know what that book says about confusion. So their response to that was, no, I haven't sold it. I haven't sold everything yet because I'm just a child. And I don't have, even if I wanted to, I don't have that much to sell. And I wouldn't be able to live because I'm still the property of my parents. My response was, okay, if you're a child, I'm going to give you some fatherly type advice. First of all, do not challenge someone if you're not ready to step up to what you say. Do not make statements of grandeur if you're not doing them, because then you're a hypocrite. So I said some statements like that, a couple of them, about 3, 4 of them. And their response to this morning was that I wasn't trying to challenge you. I just want to know what you thought about those verses. This is the problem here. I really don't care about those verses, but since we're talking about those verses, let's deal with them. We deal with the aspect of, in Matthew, it talks about don't care about what you have on and that sort of thing. That verse is really about worrying. The wisdom of that is about worrying. I don't worry. I will say that verse, when I was young, when I was like 8, 9 years old, 10 years old, that verse helped me to understand that I should not worry about anything. And ever since I've read that, I haven't worried about things. I don't get stressed out and worried about stuff. When you see me stressed, you wouldn't even know it. Or if you saw me stressed, you'd be like, dang, that's what you call stress? Because I don't worry. I may worry for like 2 seconds. I might worry, but I don't worry about where I'm going to live. I don't worry about what I'm going to eat. I don't worry about how I'm going to get in place. I don't worry about if my business is going to be successful or not. I don't worry about those things. I don't worry about clothes. I don't worry about nothing. And it has nothing to do with a God sense, right? It's the fact that I understand the wisdom of it. These trees, they don't worry. The water doesn't worry. The birds, they don't worry. So why should I? And then because I don't, have I found myself homeless? I found myself homeless 3 times. One time was on purpose. I decided I was going to be homeless. But I found myself homeless. And even in that state, I wasn't worried. I found myself without income. And in that state, I don't worry. I don't worry. I know that somehow, some way, money's going to come. I knew that I was going to have to shut my store down from one location a couple years back. I knew that the location wasn't that good, wasn't making enough money, and the landlord, the time was coming up for the end of the lease, wasn't going to be renewed. I had no idea of where I was going to get the money to move my store to a better location or a different location. But guess what? It just came. Because I had an expectation that it would. So what do I think about that verse? I think that verse is telling you not to worry about stuff, but just have expectation that everything that you truly desire will be taken care of. Has nothing to do with Revelation and the church preparing for the rapture. Has absolutely nothing to do with that. It has something to do with you just not worrying. And I would tell everybody that you shouldn't worry. Why? Because the Hermetic law teaches you that there's cause and effect. For every cause, there's an effect. So everything that you do has a repercussion, has a consequence to it. So if you just recognize what your actions create, then you will know what actions to take. And other than that, the Hermetic laws also teaches that all you have to do is conceive it in your mind of what your expectations are of life. As long as you can hold that conception without any doubt, and your book does tell you about not having doubt, all of them talk about that, but conceive in your mind what it is that you desire without having any doubt about it, your natural actions will follow, because your vibration and frequency, your vibration increases, your frequency gets in line with that, and then your actions begin to follow. And then when your actions follow, cause and effect happens, and then you move up that polarity scale. And then as long as you know how to get into neutralization, you don't move, you stay there. There's a little bit more to it beyond that, but that's a basic understanding of that. The Tao talks about it, the Vedics talks about it, the Bhagavad Gita talks about it, the Bible talks about it, the Torah talks about it, the Quran talks about it. They all talk about it. The Stoics, all these other wisdom, they all talk about it. So it's nothing new. It's nothing new. So for that verse, I don't worry about it. Luke, I think it's like Luke 14:33, somewhere around in there, says that if you're not willing to sell everything, then you're not my disciple. Now, I am not sure, because I don't read the Bible anymore, because there's no need for me to read it, but I don't read it anymore. So I'm not sure if that's in and around the story of the rich young ruler or what. It sounds like it could be. And if it is, then basically that would be the lesson of, hey, if you can't love your things and try to follow this path, that loving your things violates the idea of you loving this natural path, this path of following a creator, of following your God in the Bible. You can't serve two masters. Because, and here's the thing of that, a lot of people are unbalanced. They love their things and their stuff, but then they don't love their family, they don't love their spouse. So they have their things and their stuff, but then they mess up their marriage, so they're not happy. People can be out of balance that way because material things can get you. I don't know if that's in and around where it talks about the camel going through the eye of a needle. You guys know how I feel about that one. I was definitely misinstructed on that one once I realized what the eye of a needle really was. It could be around there. I don't know, and I'm not going to look it up. But even if not, just a basic statement. Sell all your things, otherwise you're not my disciple. It also sounds like a swerve to me. It reminds me of a swerve. There are many swerves in the Bible that talks about the fact that you should not want material things. You should not strive for material things. But yet, have you looked around at Christendom? All the buildings, all the land, all the things and the gold. Have you been to some of these churches? Have you been to these mega churches? Do you hear the prosperity teachings? Do you not hear them talk about getting your money? How, you know, but here's the thing about that. It says in Proverbs to do many businesses because you don't know which one will succeed or fail. But it tells you to do business. It also tells you that knowledge builds a house. Understanding gives it a firm foundation, and wisdom fills it with treasure. Something like that. But those three: builds the house, sustains the house, and then fills the house with treasure. And before you get confused, it was talking about material wealth. In the Bible, there are many different passages that tell you to utilize your talents to acquire. And it's usually mostly in agricultural terms, but it tells you to plant seeds and harvest, but then leave a little bit of the harvest for the orphans and widows. But it tells you to go and harvest a lot and build a lot and plant a lot of seeds and nurture it. It tells you to do that. But at the same time, it also tells you not to fall in love with it, not to store it all up as if you're going to take it with you, not to be selfish with it. But he said, sell all your things or you're not a disciple. I love to see that. The Christians who do follow that passage, a lot of other Christians call them crazy. Say that I'm not doing that. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what the Bible teaches. The Bible doesn't teach me to do that, but actually it does say it. It says it. So what do I think about it? I think that that is a contradictory statement to the Bible, that if you take it for its literal meaning. But if you take it for a more esoteric thought process, then it is basically telling you, again, not to fall in love with material things or possession or what you can acquire. That if you are only concerned about what you have and what you can get, then you be missing the messages of love your neighbor as you would love yourself. You be missing the messages of provide for the widows and the orphans. You would miss all those things. You would miss the fact that giving oftentimes will reap you back more than you ever gave. I think you'll miss all those types of teachings, the wisdom of the teachings that tells you that it is far better. Well, actually, I don't like that one. It's far better to give than it is to receive. I think that's a bunch of bull, because if there are no good receivers, then how can you be a good giver? But so that's a whole nother. I was about to misspeak, but I think if you're asking my opinion on those verses, I also think that it's a swerve. It's a swerve to keep people poor, keep people from actually going out there and using their brain to acquire a better life, to acquire heaven on earth. You see, because if I can keep you focused on the fact that suffer now and then you'll obtain heaven later, that those who suffer the most now will be the higher ones in heaven. If I can keep you thinking that the afterlife, keep you thinking about you not gaining your heaven to the afterlife, then I can keep you oppressed right now. I can keep you pushed down and downtrodden right now. And I can keep you under my thumb right now. If I can keep you from using your brain to think for yourself, to acquire heaven on earth, if I can keep you from doing that, then I can maintain control over you. So the main thing I think about that verse is that it's a verse about control. It's a verse about controlling the masses. So you can believe that if you choose. You can tell me that I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure in the comments I'll be told that I'm taking everything out of context, and if I was really a follower of Jesus and I need to go back and do all this, most of these comments I don't even read, especially if you write those big long books without any paragraphs. Please learn how to do paragraphs. Y'all killing me with these long straight up and down things, and then all capitals. I never read the all capitals, so don't even do that. But I am going to start doing a series of answering some of these questions on videos, answering, responding, because I think it's pretty cool. Plus, I don't feel like taking all that time to type anyway. I don't have that much time. I run a couple of different businesses, and I have a life, and I have children that I enjoy spending time with and talking to. So yeah, so y'all have a great day. Enjoy nature. Like right over there, there's this. It's a beautiful silhouette. I know this ain't got nothing to do with the video, but this cardinal is so bright red, which means it's a male, and it's sitting right amongst all this green, so it like really sticks out. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And all my people who know about animal spirits, go ahead and get at me about that one right there. So y'all have a great day. Enjoy yourself. Remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Subscribe and support me on Patreon.